CBC, Cognizant Business Consulting, mainly as to groom them to be management consultants. So eventually we want them to become solid management consultants. Now, the roles they would come into would be a factor of the past experience they bring in, and also what's their passion, their interest level. So many of them join as consultants into some of our industry practices. So a consultant into retail, a consultant into banking financial services, and they start working on engagements in those areas. Obviously, having past experience in those industries or in some way appreciating the nuances of those industries helps into those roles. We also take in consultants. We also have them start into some of the other, a little more, I would call generic, if you may, roles, which could be, as part of corporate strategy, as part of, we have a separate group for innovation, or even in business development. So these are the more generic ones that we would take them into. There would still be a good 20-30% who come from different backgrounds, and whom we take more based on their skills, their soft skills, their passion, etc. There was somebody I remember we hired who used to took some time off to set up whitewater rafting or something that doesn't align to any industry vertical, but clearly the fact that he has done something like that was a big plus, so we put him in one of the more entrepreneurial groups. So we do get those kinds. We have marine engineers who come in. We try to take them into logistics practice. So we do get a lot of offbeat experiences, which we appreciate also. It's a great question and a very timely question. If you asked me this question about a year and a half or 2 years ago, my answer would have been it's different issues by industry. But today, what's happening is pretty much what we're getting called in has the underlying, it's the same thing that is underlying, and that is the disruptions being caused by digital. And that's with that philosophy, we are getting called in for a lot of work. We're getting called in by banks to say, I want to move to a younger demographic. I want to attract more younger customers. How can I do that? We get called in by retailers. So what should be my strategy going ahead? Where's my industry going? So that massive disruption is being caused by digital, and we are getting called in for work, which is all the underlying reason is that disruption. I would say today, large percentage, 70-80% of our work is for that. Absolutely. I mean, we really are in the sweet spot that we can do both the visioning of where the industry is headed, but also make it a reality, because digital requires both technology as well as industry and consulting experience. So clearly we are in that sweet spot. If you look at the consulting industry overall, you have the strategy houses, you got the big four consultants who are the offshoots of the audit firms, and then you got a lot of consulting companies like ourselves who are IT services companies with a consulting arm. Today, everybody, all three buckets are trying to be an end-to-end player, are all trying to get into also the technology space. And you're absolutely right. I mean, we have the unique advantage that given that the technology layer is very strong, given that we were ahead of the game in investing in things like SMAC, social mobile analytics cloud, I think that platform is very, very helpful for us. Yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, you can't go and tell the client, okay, you've been running for 60 years in a certain way, rip everything apart and over the next 5 years and replace it. You can't do that. It has to be a gradual process. So typically, if you're asking for a broad brush kind of a solution, a strategic approach to it, it's almost run at two speeds. For any client, they got to have one part of their business, which is the legacy, keeping the lights on, just keep things happening. They got to make sure that's so efficient. We call it run better. Make sure that runs better. Don't do a replacement of systems and processes, etc. Keep what you have, just tweak it around to make it run better, and reinvest that money on the other side, which is the run different. And the run different typically is your customer facing. How should my bank of the future look? How can my new customers, how can I target them by their social media profiles? Things like that's the different part of it. So if you even look at the investments and the kind of interventions happening, on one hand, take the current businesses, squeeze it further, make it more efficient, nimble, faster, and then reinvest that in the new things. So which typically is your customer facing ones.